Hello everybody, and welcome to another video for the Sovereign Village Project. You can build a community wherever you're at. A lot of us have this vision of a utopian community where we buy a piece of land and a bunch of people flock to it and all live in peace and harmony together. But that's not where it starts. You have to first define what community is, and to me, a community is a geographical group of people who are somewhat like-minded and help each other. They watch each other's homes and homesteads and trade services and goods and help each other become more self-sufficient. They help each other educate each other's children, and they get their neighbors through times of need. And so while with the Sovereign Village Project, it is our goal to purchase a large piece of land and design it and subdivide it in a way that will create lots where each one can feed a family and breed self-sufficiency, not just with food, but also with energy and in terms of economics as well. A community that will bring money into itself and design it in a way that will create interdependence as well as independence and a sense of community. So while that is our goal, and we're moving towards it, I've also developed a community around me organically. So let me tell you my story, because I think I'm a good archetypical figure of how anybody, truly anybody, can do this. I'm a musician by trade. I moved to Nashville in 2015. And I've done nothing but music since then, as a full-time living. And if there's anything people know about musicians, it's that we do not make a lot of money. And the little money I do make, I do not declare. I'll openly say that I don't give my money to the government. It's mine, not theirs, and I never signed any contract with them, so therefore, if they are taking my money, it's by force, which is theft and slavery. And so I don't give my money to the government. And so that means that it's pretty much impossible for me to get any kind of a mortgage. So I always wanted to have a homestead and be self-sufficient, but I despaired at the possibility of buying land. I didn't know how I could make it happen. But I just went ahead and saved every penny I could. So with the little I made, I lived a life of sheer frugality. There was not a penny I spent on anything that I didn't need. I cooked at home. I brought my own whiskey into bars to that level. I worked every little extra odd job that I could, and I did my best to stay out of debt. I didn't spend money on entertainment I didn't need. Instead of that, I found other ways to entertain myself, which is usually healthier forms of entertainment anyway, the stuff that's free. And so finally, 2 or 3 years ago, I saw a property for sale about an hour outside of town. It was two single-wide trailers, very dilapidated in horrible condition, on a piece of property that was strewn with thousands of pounds of trash. It was a horrifying sight. So I bought it because it was the only one I could afford. And I moved into this trailer with no money, no running water. I brought my money up, I brought my water up from a spring that was down in the bottom of a holler in buckets to wash and bathe in. And I started growing food right away. I had no heat. I just huddled under blankets a lot. And I kind of suffered my way through the first few months, but something magical happened. I didn't have rent anymore, and I had very few utility expenses, and my money began to grow. Even the little I made, I already was frugal, but now it truly began to grow without that rental payment. And I was able to start improving the property and cleaning it up, and I spent about a year doing that and really turning it into a homestead. And then around that time, I bought my first meat rabbits and chickens. And days after I did so and built a chicken coop, which was a significant investment for me, a pack of coyotes and wild dogs tore through the property, and they killed every livestock I had, every animal. It was emotionally and financially devastating. And I sat there and just wondered, like, how am I going to move forward with this? I spent everything I had, and I've got nothing left. And then my neighbor came over from across the street with an armful of beef from his cattle farm. And he filled my freezer full of free meat. And it was right then that I realized self-sufficiency is not what I thought it was. You can't do this alone. It's community. You need to have a community of people if you're going to thrive and survive, whether it's in good times or bad. If you want to be at all self-sufficient, you need other people all on the journey with you. And so that's when I became interested in the concept of community, and I started researching and looking into past examples of what intentional communities looked like. And so I started to have this utopian vision of buying land, and I do intend to buy land and more land and build a community on it, but it actually began to develop organically around me. As my finances improved, I was able to purchase a property next to the original one, which is where I'm at right now, Hollow Top Farms. Had an A-frame cabin and an outbuilding on it. I purchased that and moved in, and listed the other place for sale. But the people I sold it to, I had a lot of offers, but I chose a family that was a strong family, was very independent-minded, very liberty-focused, and they wanted to grow food and be self-sufficient. And they're wonderful folks, and I sold it to them, and now I had another ally and another neighbor on one side. And as I began to grow more food, I started giving seedlings out to my other neighbors. I gave one to one on the other side of the new property, and he started growing, a tomato plant from the seedling I gave him. And now he comes over and he mows my lawn, because I don't have a lawnmower, and he's handy with fixing things. The neighbors across the street watch my rabbits while I'm gone, and I give them seedlings. I didn't have good cucumbers this year, so they gave me some cucumbers. They had extra, but I had lots of radishes, so I gave them some radishes. And the neighbor across the street is really good at building things. And we're able to trade services and goods and help each other move towards self-sufficiency. And so actually a true geographical community has developed. We've got this dead-end rural road, and every house and family on it, to some degree, is starting to practice self-sufficiency and homestead together and to trade ideas and help each other out. And as we slide into these hard economic times, I feel so fortunate to be here. And so while I'm building towards this actual physical location, buying a piece of land and dividing it into community lots, it's already happened around me. Just by being self-sufficient and by working with my neighbors and trying to talk to like-minded people. It's just developed, and it's been incredible to watch. So what I learned from that is that you can start your community now, wherever you're at. You can just start building it. The key is, first of all, get your act together, get your finances together. You need to be the most frugal person you know. You need to stop any kind of entertainment that is costing you money. You need to stop with food that's not the cheapest food you can buy, within reason. It still needs to be nutritious. You need to cut out all these expenses, start getting rid of debt, because that interest is sucking all your money away from you. Start working as much as you can without going insane, and build to the point where you can purchase some land, because even if you just want to join somebody else's community, they're not going to want you unless you have your act together. Nobody wants a freeloader in their community, so you have to get yourself together financially, and then also you can start building skills. Even if you're sitting in an apartment complex right now, deeply in debt with no money, and you're wondering, how the heck do I do this? All you need to do is start watching YouTube videos. You can find a wealth of information, and it's all free. Never before in human history have you been able to find all of this free information. You can go find a video on how to build a water catchment system, a million videos, how to grow food, how to raise animals, how to build a house that's out of cordwood or log or cob, how to build energy systems and solar. There's this massive amount of information out there, and it's all free. Even if you're working like crazy, you can plug in a podcast about permaculture and listen on the way to work. And that's an hour of study each way. So start researching, start learning, start building these skills. You can start growing food even if you don't have a place. You can at least set a pot in a windowsill and learn to grow some chives or some herbs or microgreens. You can find a community garden. You can find somebody who has a yard and they want to trade your time. You can garden in their yard and give them vegetables that you grow. Even through this winter, you can sit and just learn, so you'll be ready for next spring. You can start making compost, even if all you have is a little garage space to do it in. So, as you do these things, you'll start to make connections with people, and you should intentionally make connections with people in your area. Look for Facebook groups there's homestead groups, most of those haven't been taken down yet. You can find people geographically close to you who are living this way, and you'll just watch these connections blossom. And you'll watch the community become reality around you. It's been incredible to watch just a community appear. This block was meth heads and abandoned houses when I moved out here. And now it's wonderful families and self-sufficient people, and it's improving day by day. And it's also financially moving me towards the goal of buying a much larger piece of land. We're also working on a 5-acre site just down the road, so this community just keeps expanding. And it's a true geographical location that is a community in the midst of a rural area. And so it's not as hard as I thought. It's daunting to think of trying to find enough money to buy a 100-acre parcel. But so far, it's just all happened by itself, just by my efforts and the efforts of those around me. And that's leading towards the Sovereign Village project, where we actually buy a piece of land and design it from scratch to be a self-sufficient village. So let me just offer that encouragement. You can do this no matter where you're at. If you're living in a car in a rest stop, if you're living in an apartment or a suburb, you can start moving towards this goal, and it will happen. If you start making the efforts, it will happen. So start the journey. Join me on the journey. Leave a message in the comments if you'd like to connect with me, and I'll give you my email address and we'll start corresponding. I'll do everything I can to help you out, and if you have information or ideas, please send them my way as well. And let's build these communities together. Let's build a new, improved world that is resilient and self-sufficient and free. Everybody, good luck with it. Stay safe and be well.